Kal Kadosh Boker Or Bekiim Bahalacha Day 69 Hilchot Kaddish. So this is going to be an introduction to Hilchot Kaddish, which is Siman 56. Okay, Nun Vav. According to the Aruch HaShulchan Epstein, Kaddish was instituted by the Anshe Knesset Gdolah during the first years of the second Bet HaMikdash. Its content is a fervent prayer for the entire world to recognize the greatness of Hashem's name and to offset the terrible disgrace of Hashem's honor caused by the destruction of the first Bet HaMikdash and the exile, okay, of the people of Israel to the four corners of the world. The Kaddish is a prayer for Hashem's name to be magnified and sanctified. As the Navi declared in his name in Yecheskel, I will become magnified and sanctified, right? And I will become known to many nations. They will then know that I am Hashem. The Kaddish prayer is discussed in many places in the Talmud. One is in Berachot 3a. Rabbi Yosef said, once I was walking along the road, I stopped and entered the ruins of Yerushalayim in order to pray. While I was there, Eliyahu Navi came and he asked me, my son, did you hear anything while you were praying in the ruin? I told him that I heard a voice echoing from heaven that was cooing like a dove, saying, woe unto the children for whom due to their sins I destroyed my home and burned down my sanctuary, and I exiled them amongst the other nations. Eliyahu Navi told me, I solemnly swear to you that this is not the only time that this voice makes a declaration. Every single day, 3 times daily, this takes place. But not only that, but every single time Bnei Yisrael come and they go to the synagogues and Torah study halls and they call it Yeheh Shemer Abba Mevarach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu declares, fortunate is the king who's praised in this way in his home. What does the father do when he banishes his children? Woe unto the children. Yeah, he said, woe unto the children who have been banished from their father's table. Okay, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, whoever responds Amen Yeshmin Abba Mevarach with all his strength gains such merit that the heavens rip up any document containing a decree to punish him. Right, that's a Gemara. Meaning that any type of a document, they come, boom, they rip it up. Okay? There it actually says 70 years. I don't know why he doesn't bring it down, but fine, 70 years. Even though if you remember, I told you there's 2 different explanations. Does that mean that if he did 70 years of bad things, they come and they tear it up? Or if they had 70 years of bad decrees against him, they tear up the 70 better, and that's why it's 2 different ways of learning that Gemara. But basically it just says, Korin lo gzar dino shel 70 shana. They destroyed the gzar din of 70 years, but the question is, what does that mean? Does that mean that he did bad things in there? Or it's for the, in the future? Rashbag, inside Rabbi Yeshua says, since the day that the first Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, every single day brings a new curse. The dew fails to deliver its blessing, meaning the tal, you remember we're talking about tal, doesn't give its blessings. The produce, it lost its flavor, it doesn't have the same taste anymore. Rava added, each day's curse is worse than the previous day's curse. If this is the case, on what merit does the world continue to thrive? On the merit of Kedusha, Avuva Letzion, which is Kadosh, 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 and Yesh Shemer Abba after Agadah. That's why it's so important to do Kaddish al Yisrael after Torah learning. Because that's called Kaddish al Agadah. That you learn and then you do that. Okay? Okay. Then it says, okay. Rashi explained that when we recite the Pesukim of the Kedusha and their corresponding Targum, it has the status of Torah study. It is especially meritorious since both Torah scholars, who understand the Hebrew Pesukim, okay, and the unlearned Jews, join together to recite this passage, which means not only Torah scholars, but also unlearned, everyone, because since it was translated in Aramaic, that's why they knew it. That's why Kedusha Uva Letzion is in Aramaic, all those things. Making it a combination of communal Torah study and sanctification of Hashem's name. Regarding the lesson of Agadah mentioned by Rava, this refers to the lesson delivered on Shabbat afternoon, where everyone in the community is free from work and attends the lecture. The Kaddish said afterwards combines the merit of the communal Torah studying with the sanctifying of Hashem's name. Said that Ramon cited the following passage. Rabbi Yishmael related in the archangel Sasnagir told him, right? He told him, my friend, sit in my lap, and I will tell you what will become of the people of Israel. Rabbi Yishmael sat in the angel's lap, and the angel looked at him and began weeping, so that the tears fell on him. Rabbi Yishmael asked the angel, why was he crying? And he said, let me bring you inside, and I will tell you what the sentence, right, what sentence has been decreed on the holy nation of Israel. The angel took hold of his hand and brought him into the innermost chambers, the rooms where the treasures are hidden. He picked up the ledger and showed Rabbi Yishmael documents describing all types of horrors. Rabbi Yishmael asked, who's condemned to such a horrible fate? The angel replied that it is the people of Israel. To which Rabbi Yishmael asked, is it possible that they could survive this? The angel said, come tomorrow and I will show you another array of tortures and suffering. The next day, the angel brought Ishmael deeper into the inner chambers and showed him the people would be taken into captivity, subjugated to want and to frequent attacks, to starve to death. Ishmael protested, "What is this? Have only the people of Israel sinned?" The angel replied, "Every day more harsh decrees are sentenced to the people of Israel. But when they gather together in the synagogues and Torah study halls and they answer, the decrees are not permitted out and of the deep inner chambers." So it's incredible. That means this is mamash is going to destroy all the bad decrees. So imagine every single time we say Yeshem Abba, to say it even stronger and stronger and stronger, and to pay attention to what we're saying. Fine. When was the Kaddish instituted exactly? Okay, so here it says, as mentioned above, the Ruch HaShulchan said that it was instituted by the Shekinah Segula. Yalkut Yosef agreed with this, citing the Talmud's teaching that the Shekinah instituted prayers, the blessings, the various versions of Kiddush and Avdalah. This is not a conclusive proof, however, since Kaddish might not be included in any of these categories. Rabbi Shlomo of Worms, wrote in the Sidur that he took for granted that Kaddish was instituted by the Shekinah Segula. He explained that the reason for the Kaddish is recited in Aramaic and not in Hebrew is because it was instituted by the Shekinah Segula after the people had spent 70 years in exile. The people were then fluent in Aramaic and not in Hebrew, and it was important for everybody to be able to say the Kaddish in a language that he understood. What? Now, in contrast, the Hilchot Chaim stated that the reason why Kaddish is recited in Aramaic is that it was not instituted by Shekinah Segula, but by the Tanaim several generations later, when it became clear that the majority of people of Am Yisrael remained in exile and spoke only Aramaic. So why in Aramaic? The Tur offered three reasons for the fact of the text in Aramaic and not in Hebrew. Number one, if the angels would hear the people of Israel reciting such an exalted praise to God in Hebrew, they would become envious, they would become jealous of us. Therefore, Kaddish was made in Aramaic, since the Talmud teaches that the angels do not understand the language. Machzor Vitri, recited by the Bet Yosef, rejected this reason, since there are many beautiful and exalted Hebrew prayers that we do recite without concern for the angels' envy. So why all of a sudden now it's different? Number two, when we recite the Kaddish, it reminds the Blessed Holy One that he has sent the people of Israel into exile and destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. And he is beset with pangs of regret. If the angels would notice this, they might react by blaming the people of Israel and urging God to punish them. Therefore, we recite in Aramaic, which the angels do not understand. Okay, citing Rabbeinu Yitzchak of the Tosafot, the reason is because the custom was to recite Kaddish after a Torah lecture. Since many of those attending the lecture were ignorant of Hebrew and understood only Aramaic, that language was chosen for the Kaddish. And the Bet Yosef cited Machzor Vitri concurring with this explanation as well. So one more time, the angels. Number two, he sent us into exile, and therefore, if the angels would notice this, they might react by blaming the Bnei Israel. Okay, and therefore we do it in Aramaic, so that way they don't understand, so that way we don't get punished because of it. And number three also, right, we just said, is because since we wanted them to understand it. We wanted the Aramaic to understand it. D and E. Shibulei Aleket offered another two reasons. Citing the Maram and Rotumurg, he explained that the reason why is to emphasize our sense of loss after the Shachar Bet HaMikdash. We accomplish this by downgrading from the exalted Hebrew language to the inferior Aramaic language, just like a mourner. So basically, it's like we're downgrading just because we wanted to feel that. Okay, and citing his brother of Binyamin, he suggested that originally the Kaddish was recited in Hebrew. And at one point, the non-Jews prohibited the public reciting the Kaddish, and so the people began reciting in Aramaic, which the non-Jews did not understand. So even after this prohibition was annulled, the people just chose not to put it back to Hebrew. And in this way, they would memorize and publicize the fact that God had delivered them from the oppression of the non-Jews. Okay? So basically, that means the Goyim prohibited us for saying Kaddish. So we said it in Aramaic, so that way the Goyim do not understand. And then what we did was that we just never took it off. And that was like a reminder that Baruch Hashem, we're not under them anymore. Another reason, Kolbo, was unsure whether Aramaic was known widely or not. Assuming that it was, he suggested that we do it in Aramaic since everyone, including the non-Jews, understand Aramaic. In this way, we demonstrate to the entire world our staunch faith and trust that one day Hashem will deliver us. That means purposely we want the Goyim to understand it. So that way they understand that we have a true emunah that Hashem will deliver us and He's going to sanctify His name throughout the entire world. Okay, assuming that, he comes and he says, okay, another reason now. He says, assuming that, he comes and he says, assuming the non-Jews were unfamiliar with Aramaic, the Kolbo comes and he suggested that in the future, the tzaddikim will be honored with a position in heaven higher than the angels. And this is a just honor, since the angels are free of sin because they just have no inclination. Meaning a tzaddik becomes greater than an angel because he overpowers his Yetzer Hara. that tzaddikim spend their lives battling their evil inclination, and they certainly have earned more credit than the angels. We do not want the angels to feel envious of this and possibly accuse the people of Israel of sins and prevent them from being honored. So we say the Kaddish in Aramaic, so they will not understand it.